Hey everyone, it's Byron again to testify for Jesus Christ. The title of this one is Your Head is Humming and It Won't Go. And I'm taking that line from a song called Stairway to Heaven, just to let you know how important Stairway to Heaven was to me in the past. The first song that I really wanted to learn how to play on the guitar when I learned to play guitar was Stairway to Heaven. Probably about when I was in the 6th grade or something like that. A group called Led Zeppelin came out with the song. But anyway, to the lines of the song, if you listen to the song and you know a little bit about Freemasonry and how they do things, you'll realize it's actually a Freemasonry song. Several things in there that could be pointed out, but I want to get to this point here. The reason I want to get to this point here is because the night I was out to eat with my wife, and we went to a restaurant called Old Charlie's. You know, Charlie's, they put us close to the bar, sitting in some booze, and the bartender actually helped us. She came out there, and I asked her what song, radio or whatever they had the song, the channel put on anyway. She said it's a playlist that O'Charlie's has done. And she said, after working here for 3 years, I know every word in all the songs. And that is where I want to bring up the point that I want to cover tonight. Part of the enemy's infiltration, part of the way they've gotten into our heads is through music. And in doing so, we don't necessarily think that we're involved or impacted that greatly until perhaps later on some ideas that came from a song or some ideas that maybe came from a movie, etc., moved us. And I've done some videos in the past. I've talked about how music and movies have changed the nation. A couple of examples was John Travolta movies. I want to say Saturday Night Fever. That changed the nation, put the nation into discotheques. Urban Cowboy, John Travolta once again made everybody cowboys. The nation has moved with that. The Beatles, the British invasion back in the 50s. Elvis came out, everybody's moving and grooving. Songs, music, etc. has moved the nation. So now to Stairway to Heaven. The way the lines read is, I may have to sing it a little bit, forgive me, but your head is humming and it won't go. And did you know the piper's calling you to join him? And that goes all the way back to the Pied Piper story, Hamlin or Gremlin or some of those tales back in the day. In that particular story, the children were piped away because of the singing or because of the piper's pipes. And that would be playing a horn, maybe playing bagpipes. I don't know what he played, but it's called pipes. Stairway to Heaven is referring to that. It says the piper is calling you to join him. And I've linked that to a magic carpet ride. If you watch the movie Aladdin, you'll see there's a magic carpet ride there. There's a song called Magic Carpet Ride from the 60s. And basically, you can send your kids to the bedroom, and they can be carried around the world on the carpet that's in their bedroom through music and movies. And that's how media has impacted. So much so that a girl tonight just said, I know all these songs by heart and didn't even try, or basically just came over me over 3.5 years. If you imagine how many people tune their radios into something and just have it playing in the background as they drive around, not really paying attention to it, but they're being taught. Imagine that I know people who can't wake up and I'll sit inside a quiet house. They have to have some kind of noise going, and usually it's the television. So they're being piped, not necessarily always with songs or music. They're being piped in some fashion, which brings me to Scripture. And I just want to cover some Scripture here. Romans 12, verse 2. And the Scripture reads like this: and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. That's loaded. I'm not going to go deep into it. I just want you to know there are things in this world that have affected you. And they have affected you, let's just say, if it had a neutral effect, meaning it wasn't positive for God, but it wasn't necessarily negative either. But it occupied your mind for that period of time and took your mind from God, or took your mind from Christ, or took you from the meditation on the Word or the renewing of your mind with the Scriptures, that you were no longer that tree planted by a river or stream, as mentioned in Psalm 1, whose delight is in the law of God. That is what's happened, not just to individuals, not just to the United States, but the whole entire world. Scripture tells us the whole entire world was made drunk with the wine of Mystery Babylon's fornication. Mystery Babylon being the United States, as the Lord's indicated to me. But the whole world has been piped full of this wine of fornication. And fornication comes in many different forms. But basically, if you're doing things that take you from Christ, that's fornication. If it's not about Christ, your bride, it's a fornication, either it's not necessarily a physical sense, but a spiritual sense. So this happened to me. I don't recall a church or anyone in my life saying, dude, you got to shut that stuff off. I remember embracement of the worldly things in churches that I went to. And I never could figure out what has, and I'm going to use the word estranged because that's what's used in Ezekiel chapter 14. But I kept thinking, what has hindered me? What has caused me this division between me and the Lord? Why did I hear from him and not? Why did I have the relationship and not? And it comes about as we estrange ourselves with our idols of the heart, or with our music, or with our movies, or with all these other things that take us from that relationship with Christ. I'm not saying this is a salvation issue. I'm not saying a person who has done that is going to hell, but I am saying people will be judged in this life. Check out the church of Thyatira, Revelation 2, starting at 18. That church, the Jezebel in that church, mentioned in that church, which I know to be Freemasonry now, caused them to commit fornication, which is do things almost behind the Lord's back, or do things that did not include the Lord. So they committed fornication. The whole world does the same thing. So I'm saying that to reinforce what I've already said in other videos, but I'm saying it because now a complete and total stranger to me who didn't even know they were jumping on my little bandwagon made this statement. I know all these songs and I never tried to learn them, you know? And that's what's happened to your children. That's what's happened to your church member. That's what happened. That church member that you wonder, well, I wonder what happened to so-and-so. Wonder, man, he used to be here and now, gosh, all kind of stuff has happened. Well, it brings me to an idea that I've had for some time, is that people say, I've tried Christianity or I tried Christ. Well, what really happened is they went to a church that estranged them from Christ with their fornication. That's just the truth. Now you've come to Christ for salvation. Hey, let's go to the dance on Saturday night too. Or let's go check out the movie, etc. And pretty soon they were estranged from Christ by the very members who told them you need Christ for salvation. It's amazingly simple and amazingly hard to grasp because it's so normal. It has become the norm. And when it's the norm, you don't think it's wrong. But dude, you compare what I'm saying to Scripture. You said you basically go around, you take 2 Corinthians 10, I believe. You know, I'm tripping right now. But we're not supposed to be friends with the world. We're not even supposed to be friends with people who are fornicating with the world. Meaning, if your church family believes it's okay, you're in the wrong church family. Anyway, point made. Just reinforcing these things because this literally is robbing you of a relationship with Jesus Christ. So I'll let you go. See you.